Welcome back. We are resuming the discussion about ISO 9001 2015 version after long time. And here we have come up with the interesting quiz for you. And the quiz will definitely open up a great discussion, clarity around the topic of ISO 9001 2015. And the quiz name is that two truth and one lie. And the false statement you need to detect and you need to spot on, right? Spot the lie is the theme, and basically the aim of this exercise is that debunking the common misconception. So these question really encourage the discussion, and each and every question, there are 10 questions we are going to discuss. Each and every questions we are going to discuss the reason. I'm going to give a factual evidence, like what is the class number, where does it mention, and so on, so that whenever you're preparing for lead auditor, this will be very helpful. That too in IRCA, this will be very helpful to you. And let's go ahead and do that. And there are 10 questions we are going to unfold today. So email ID, I have just given abrarknowledge at gmail.com. So I have given my email ID. Let's start the first question. Here we go. The basic of ISO 9001 2015, for example, ISO 9001 2015 focuses on improving the customer satisfaction. So this will be the true statement. The reason is that the evidence is that 5.1.2, if you take it, that is customer satisfaction. How to do a customer satisfaction? There is a word called enhanced customer satisfaction has been mentioned. And the same thing if you do after 4 classes, if you go, so you have 9.1.2 subclasses, where again you have that the customer satisfaction is a direct one. So it is continued to have the focus on customer satisfaction. And the next question is that next option is that ISO 9001 2015 requires every company to have a quality manual, right? So quality manual itself is not mandatory now. One of the interesting concept about 2015 has reduced lots of documentation work. For example, in previous version ISO 9001 2008, there were concept called seven mandatory procedure, like control of document, control of record, control of non-conforming procedures, and then so on and so forth. There are seven, including that quality manual was all along for many years. It has been considered as a prime document, and everything about the standard requirement is being rewritten as per the organization need in the quality manual. That the quality manual itself you will not find in ISO 9001:2015, right? So therefore, if the organization decides and wishes to have quality manual, that is their wish, because in type and extent they can have any document as per their requirement, but quality manual itself is not a mandatory requirement in the ISO 9001 2015 version. Also, that number of documentation has been reduced. For example, there is no concept of, as I mentioned, that control of in the mandate procedure. There is no concept of having so much procedure and all that. Everything is result based. So the next one is that the next option we have ISO 9001:2015 uses the risk-based thinking. Yes, although risk was there, risk management was there, but it was implicated now very explicited. There is a class number. You have 6.1, that is up action to address risk and opportunities. So it's also true. So the first question, the one question we are saying that debunk, that is misconception. Let's do this one. So the B is not the B is the false option, and the A and true remain truth. Okay, A and C. Yeah. So next is leadership role. Top management must, I'm using the same word of ISO, but top management shall demonstrate the leadership and commitment to the QMS. True. Where you get the evidence? You get the evidence like 5.1. There is a mention about A all the way to J requirement is being there, A to J, and we're taking the accountability of effectiveness of the quality management system, preparing the quality manual and quality objectives, and promoting the culture of promoting the process approach, risk-based thinking. You'll find all A to J requirements. So this is direct. The requirement is there, and there is no concept of MR management representative concept is not there. But however, there is a concept of there is a demonstration of having the commitment. The top management shall demonstrate the leadership and commitment. ISO 9001 requires all management decision to be documented in triplicate. Triplicate is a word which you will not find it in the standard ISO 9000, that is fundamental vocabulary, or ISO 9001. For example, if you're taking ISO 9000 as an example, you will not find it. Triplicate is, by the way, what is the term is that a document, any document, let's say you should have in three format, right? For example, in the same document, let's say in document docx, let's say you are having it PDF as in one same document, and the same document is there in the maybe another format, right? So let's say PPT X format, right? This is not required. So one document can be in their native file. Like one document is enough, right? Why we need to have a three, right? But there is no requirement as such, right? So false. Leadership is responsible for aligning the QMS. They again and with the organization strategic direction. The word strategy is very beautifully been explained in ISO 9000 class number 3. And strategy mean long term objective of the organization. So and while the same thing is been, you will find it in the class number 5 also as well. In the entire class number 5 also 5, you will find that also as well. So therefore class number 5, and even the strategic direction word is being mentioned in class number 4.1. And understanding the organization and its context, you'll find it. So therefore so it's a true statement. So the bunk which we are doing it is that option B. The next question is that ISO 9001 continuous improvement is a key principle. So continual improvement is continue to be the key focus of the standard. So it's a true statement. One reason you will get it is the class number 9. There is you will have everything you need to do it to improve that one. For example, 9.2 as an example, internal audit, management review is 9.3. Or if you take that one dedicated class number, you'll find like 10, right? So entire one is about improvement. Non-conformity is a true statement. Non-conformity must be eliminated along with the causes. Yeah, causes to be identified, eliminate the cause is a non-conformance one that is also called corrective action. So this is a true statement, and where you will get the evidence, you get the evidence in 10.2. And then ISO 9001 2015 only applies to a large organization. This is a false statement, right? So the one which we will be selecting as a false option is this one. Let's go to the next one. Documentation requirement. This is a very interesting question. So ISO 9015 requires a detailed documentation of every procedure. So whereas in the first question we have told that the ISO 9001 2015 has really decreased the number of documentations, doesn't encourage to have more and more document and all that, and there is no question about detailed procedure itself. Even if you take class number 7.5.2, there is not a mention about the detailed word is not there, so it's a false statement. An organization have a flexibility in the type and control. Yes, when it comes to documentation, this is the word standard has used, where the freedom has been given to an organization to choose whatever. For example, if they wish to have a quality manual, they can have, but from the standard is not requirement. If they wanted to have control of document as this one as a document, they can have it. So this is a true statement. And then ISO 9015 emphasizes document evidence to demonstrate the conformity. So yes, so anything, everything you take, so you need to have the evidence, it has to be demonstrated, right? So So this is again, once again, flexibility. You will find again 7.5.2 class number, and then you have evidence. Everything. Take an example of evidence. 7.2. The competence is an example, right? Again, if a person is able to perform the task, and there is not a mention about skill, but competence. That means ability to perform the task independently, and there is a mention about the conformity to demonstrate, right? So therefore, it's a true statement. So the first statement will be the false statement, telling that it is not a requirement to have a detailed documentation for every procedure. Okay. And then we are moving to the next question. ISO certification process. ISO itself doesn't certify organization. External certification can do. Yes, it is a true statement. And then one certified organization never need to renew that. This is a false statement. There is something called surveillance audit, and because once the organization gets certified, for example, the organization gets certified in 2025, and depend upon the next, let's say 4 years is expiry, and after, in between you have to have the surveillance audit and recertification and audit and all that. So it's a false statement. An external audit is required to achieve this one. Yes, only the third party, independent party comes and does an audit and gives a certification. It's true. So true. So the answer is B option is a false statement as such. Okay, we are moving to the next question. Applicability of ISO standard. So we can just see that ISO 9000 can be applied to both manufacturing services. Yep, of course. When you say 9000, it applies to product and services. So therefore, it is very much applicable. All ISO standards are mandatory for every organization worldwide. No, it is driven by customer need. It is a the requirement from the management, and so that it is all management call to have if they, and then of course it is a bigger thing is that the customer, so it's a false statement as such. And then ISO 9 14,000 is all about environment. That's a true. So we straight away we are just hitting it. So then it's a false one. The next, let's go to the next one. ISO and a global standard. ISO standard are developed through. This is my favorite question. Really, among all 10 questions, this is my favorite question. Let's explore more. ISO and global standard. ISO standard are developed through global consensus. Yes, there is a party called ISO slash TC, Technical Committee 176 is the one who just take all the consensus and then takes it. So this is one. ISO short form, short form or full form, you may call it like International Standard Organization. It appears it is true, but it's not true, right? So why? Because ISO word coming from the Greek, so meaning like ISO mean same or equal, same or equal. So the intention about ISO was there. It come from the Greek word. So so therefore they kept it as it is in the original form ISO. But when you abbreviate, you have to abbreviate like this: IOS, International Organization for Standardization. So basically, same rule. For example, rule number. Take any example. 9.2 internal audit. Internal audit rules are applicable anywhere in the world. Even if you're there in India, you're there in US, 9.2 will remain 9.2, right? So therefore, it is the same. So this is the false statement. That's what is a tricky question, and most of the people might think that it looks to be the same, but the full form of ISO is International Organization for Standardization. Over 160 countries are member of ISO. Yes, true statement. You can see here. So first and third point are connected. So this is the false statement. Okay, let's go to the next question. Key feature of ISO 9000:2015 encourage the organization to address risk and opportunity. As I mentioned before, 6.1 there is a dedicated class which talks about risk and opportunities, and includes a class specifically product design. Yes, there is an evidence 8.3, and the ISO 9015 requires a specific software. There is no mention about this, so this is true, and this will be the false statement as such. So and let's go to the next one. ISO scopes and reach. 27,000 is all about the information and security management system. I also covered the briefing about this standard. Yes, true. And ISO standard are only relevant to business operating in Europe. This is false. This is standard is meant for worldwide, so it's a false one. And ISO standard helps organization to improve the global compatibility and operation. Yes, true. So the false statement is this one. And the last question we are going to hit now. The ISO 9001:2015 emphasizes the understanding the need and expectation of a stakeholder, and I'm using the standard word called interested parties. Interested parties to whom an organization depend on. and according to ISO 9000 fundamental vocabulary definitions. So, for example, let's say 4.2, if you take it, 4.1, we have learned in the previous one, the understanding the need and understanding the organization and its context. Now it is need and expectation of interested parties. So, therefore, it is a direct requirement. That's true. And ISO 9001 2015 mandate the use of PDCA. Yes, there is even if you take the standard, it's still constructed in PDCA approach, a true statement. And the last one is that the ISO 9001 2015 prohibits the outsourcing. No, the only thing is the organization should be careful. If they are outsource, they can outsource it, but all the control will be within the organization. The auditor will ask only the organization, even if something go wrong, right? So not the supplier, right? So the full and control the organization should have. So false. So therefore, these 10 misconception we talked about it. Let's go quickly. The first one is that we said that ISO 9001 requires every company to have a manual, quality manual. No, and we learned that ISO 9001 2015 requires all management decision to be documented in triplicate form. No, and ISO 9001 2015 only applies to large organization. No, ISO 9000 2015 requires a detailed documentations. No, and one certified organization never need to renew it. No, and all ISO standard are mandatory for every organization. No, ISO is a short form of International Standard Organization. No, ISO stand for full form is International Organization for Standardization. ISO then you have ISO 9015 requires a specific software to implement. No, there is no software requirement as such. ISO scope and reach. ISO standard are only relevant to business operating in Europe. No, and the last statement which we debunk misconception was on ISO 9000 prohibits the outsourcing of process. No, let's submit it. Let's see how much score we have got. We got 20 out of 20. And what I also have connected is that I have also given that little bit detailed discussion, small, like why it's called live and doesn't mandate to have quality manual, although document is information is required. And then you have the second question, and you have the answer. And then if you have wherever the the justification is there, I have also mapped that also as well. For example, take this one: ISO certificate must be renewed periodically through surveillance and recertification audit, which we talked about it. Yes. And then here you see that ISO standard are not only mandated but also voluntary unless required by customer or regulations or contract. And then you have international ISO is not an acronym. It is derived from the Greek word isos, meaning equal. And then you have another one: ISO doesn't 9215 doesn't mandate any specific software. And then you have more and more and ISO 9 standard are applicable globally, not just Europe. And ISO 9215 doesn't prohibit the outsourcing. It requires the that outsource process can be controlled, and only our organization to take the call. And so I hope you find it useful. We discussed 10 questions. Not only that, we did a detailed review of each options. That means technically 30 statement we have just read through, and then from that 30 statement, 20 statement are truth and 10 statement were false. I'll keep this link in the description so that you can also take a review and do it. Please do like, share, subscribe my channel. You have a wonderful day.